Life is a journey, a winding road filled with challenges and moments of beauty. Along the way, we encounter people who add joy and meaning to our lives, but sometimes the people we meet create obstacles of their own, draining our energy and clouding our happiness. These are the people who can weigh us down, making the journey feel heavier than it needs to be. As we grow older, our time and energy become some of our most precious resources. Every moment deserves to be lived with lightness, joy, and fulfillment. Yet certain people have a way of disrupting this balance. They can drain our emotional strength, steal our peace of mind, and make life feel heavier than it needs to be. In this video, we'll explore 7 specific types of people who can negatively affect your emotional health, from the manipulator who twists your kindness into obligation, to the narcissist who makes everything about themselves, to the critic who always seems to find fault. We'll help you recognize these behaviors. More importantly, we'll share actionable tips for setting boundaries and protecting your well-being. Because here's the truth, life is too short to spend it with people who take more than they give. It's time to prioritize your peace and surround yourself with those who truly value you. So, ask yourself, who truly deserves to walk beside you on your life journey, and who might be holding you back? By the end of this video, you'll know how to protect your energy, reclaim your happiness, and live your life with the lightness and freedom you deserve. 1. The manipulator. When helping becomes a burden. At first, helping someone can feel rewarding. You believe you're strengthening a bond or making a difference in someone's life. But over time, this act of kindness can turn into an exhausting obligation that drains your energy and disrupts your peace. Imagine this. You're enjoying a quiet evening at home, finally getting some well-deserved rest, when your phone rings. It's a family member asking for yet another favor. At first you don't mind. After all, helping family is important. But as the calls become more frequent, you begin to notice a pattern. This person only reaches out when they need something, and their demands are starting to feel endless. You realize you're not just helping them. You're being manipulated into sacrificing your time and energy. Manipulators are skilled at using guilt to their advantage. They know how to make you feel like saying no is selfish or wrong. They twist your good intentions into a tool to serve their own needs, leaving you feeling responsible for their well-being. But here's the truth. Helping others should be a choice, not an obligation. When helping starts to feel like a sacrifice, it's time to reevaluate the relationship and set boundaries. To protect yourself, learn to recognize the signs of manipulation, such as constant guilt-tripping or one-sided relationships. Practice saying no without guilt. Remember, protecting your peace is not selfish, it's self-care. Set firm boundaries and stick to them. Let others know your limits and hold them accountable for respecting them. Helping someone should never come at the expense of your well-being. By setting clear boundaries, you reclaim your time, energy, and peace of mind. While manipulators use guilt to tie you down, opportunists take advantage of your kindness in a completely different way. Let's dive into how opportunists can impact your life. 2. The opportunist. Only there when they need something. We've all met someone who seems friendly, supportive, and always full of charm, until you realize they only show up when they need something. These people, often referred to as opportunists, are experts at disguising their true intentions. They make you believe they care about you, but deep down, they see your kindness as a resource to exploit. Imagine this. Adam had a friend named Chris. Chris always had a way of appearing at the right moment, right when he needed a favor. Whether it was borrowing money, needing help with a project, or looking for advice, Chris would show up with a smile and endless praise for Adam's generosity. At first, Adam was happy to help, But over time, he noticed something strange. Whenever Adam needed support, Chris was nowhere to be found. Calls went unanswered, and requests for help were met with vague excuses. Opportunists thrive in one-sided relationships. They take and take, leaving you feeling drained and undervalued. The imbalance in these relationships can cause frustration, disappointment, and even damage your self-esteem. How to protect yourself? Recognize the pattern. Do they only show up when they need something? Take note of their behavior over time. Limit your generosity. Helping someone is kind, but when there's no mutual support, it's time to step back. Prioritize balanced relationships. Invest your time and energy in people who give as much as they take. It's not selfish to protect your energy. Surrounding yourself with people who genuinely value you creates space for meaningful, reciprocal relationships. Letting go of opportunists doesn't make you unkind. It makes you wise. 3. The narcissist. When everything revolves around them. There's nothing more exhausting than being in a relationship with someone who constantly makes everything about themselves. Narcissists have a unique ability to dominate every interaction, leaving little room for anyone else's thoughts, emotions, or experiences. Instead of feeling seen or valued, you may find yourself feeling invisible and unimportant. Let's picture this. Maria had a colleague named Lily. Whenever Maria tried to share her ideas or achievements, Lily would immediately turn the conversation around. Maria might mention her recent vacation, and Lily would interrupt with, "That reminds me of my trip to Paris. Let me tell you about it." Before Maria could say another word, Lily would go on and on, completely disregarding Maria's story. This happened every time they spoke, leaving Maria feeling unheard and frustrated. The problem with narcissists is that they often prioritize their own image and needs over everyone else's. They are quick to dismiss others' contributions and feelings in favor of their own agenda. Over time, this dynamic can chip away at your emotional well-being, making you question your own worth. How to protect yourself? Set boundaries. Don't be afraid to steer the conversation back to a balanced topic or end a discussion when it becomes one-sided. Don't feed their ego. Avoid excessive praise or acknowledgement of their self-centered behavior. This only reinforces their tendencies. Limit your exposure. If the relationship isn't essential, consider distancing yourself to preserve your peace and self-esteem. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and exchange, not one-sided attention. Don't feel obligated to stay in the orbit of someone who doesn't value your voice or contribution. Life is too precious to waste on people who don't see you. The critic. Why their words hurt. Living with someone who constantly criticizes you can feel like walking on eggshells. Critics have a way of pointing out flaws in everything you do, your choices, your actions, even the smallest details of your life. Over time, their constant negativity can chip away at your confidence and create an environment where you feel undervalued and discouraged. Imagine this. Daniel had a brother named Eric who never seemed to have anything good to say. If Daniel mentioned a promotion at work, Eric would respond with, "That's nice, but don't expect it to last." When Daniel bought a new car, Eric quickly commented, "You probably overpaid for that." No matter how hard Daniel tried to share positive news, Eric always found a way to inject doubt or criticism, leaving Daniel frustrated and disheartened. Critics often project their own insecurities onto others. They find fault in you because it makes them feel superior or helps mask their own dissatisfaction with life. While their words can be hurtful, it's important to remember that their negativity reflects more about them than about you. How to protect yourself? Filter the feedback. Not all criticism is constructive. Learn to distinguish between helpful advice and destructive negativity. Accept what's useful and ignore the rest. Set boundaries. If their comments cross the line, calmly let them know what is and isn't acceptable to you. You don't have to entertain conversations that make you feel bad. Surround yourself with positivity. Seek out people who uplift and encourage you. Their support can counterbalance the negativity from critics. Life is too short to let others' harsh words overshadow your achievements and happiness. You deserve to be celebrated for who you are and the progress you've made. Don't let a critic's negativity define you or limit your potential. The irresponsible. Shifting the burden to you. Being around irresponsible people can feel like carrying a weight that isn't yours to bear. These individuals refuse to take accountability for their actions and decisions, often expecting others to clean up their messes. Over time, their lack of responsibility can drain your energy and leave you feeling trapped in a cycle of frustration. Here's an example. Julia often felt trapped in a cycle of frustration with her friend Ben. When Ben missed his rent payment again, he called Julia, sounding desperate. "I'm in trouble. Can you lend me some money to get through this month?" he asked, as though it were her responsibility. Julia wanted to help, but deep down she knew this was just another example of Ben relying on her to clean up his messes. Whenever there were consequences for his actions, he turned to Julia for help. "Can you lend me some money to cover this bill? I'm in trouble again," he'd say. Julia wanted to help, but no matter how often she stepped in, Ben's behavior never changed. Instead, she found herself constantly solving problems that weren't hers to begin with. The truth is, irresponsible people don't grow until they face the consequences of their choices. When you take on their burdens, you're not helping them, you're enabling them. This cycle not only drains your emotional and physical energy, but also prevents them from learning important lessons about accountability. How to protect yourself. Set boundaries. Make it clear that while you care about them, you cannot take responsibility for their problems. Offer limited help. Provide advice instead of stepping in to fix everything. Let them face the consequences of their actions. This can be the catalyst they need to take ownership of their lives. Prioritize your own peace. Recognize that their irresponsibility is not your fault. Protect your energy by focusing on your own well-being and responsibilities. Helping someone doesn't mean carrying the weight of their decisions. Kindness should always be balanced with respect for your own limits. By stepping back, you give them the space to grow, and give yourself the freedom to focus on what truly matters. 6. The lazy. Leaving all the effort to you. Laziness in others can be more draining than it first seems. At the beginning, you might justify their behavior, telling yourself they're just tired or going through a rough patch. But over time, you realize their lack of effort isn't temporary, it's a choice. Living with or dealing with lazy people often means you end up doing more than your fair share, leaving you feeling overwhelmed and unappreciated. Picture this. Rachel had a cousin named Greg who always seemed to find excuses to avoid responsibility. At family gatherings, Greg was the first to leave the table when it was time to clean up. He'd casually walk away saying, "Oh, I'll take care of something later," but he never did. Over the years, Rachel noticed this pattern repeated in everything Greg did. Whether it was helping with family plans or contributing to group efforts, Greg always managed to avoid the work while others picked up the slack. What makes dealing with lazy people even harder is their ability to promise change without ever taking action. They might say, "I'll do better next time," but that time never comes. This creates a cycle of frustration where their lack of initiative not only drains your energy but also affects your motivation. How to protect yourself. Stop compensating for their laziness. Resist the urge to cover for them. Allow their lack of effort to stand out so they are held accountable. Encourage responsibility. Sometimes laziness stems from a lack of accountability. Gently but firmly encourage them to take ownership of tasks and responsibilities. Focus on your own goals. Don't let their lack of drive slow you down. Keep your energy directed toward people and activities that inspire you. Surrounding yourself with proactive, driven people is key to maintaining your own vitality. By limiting the influence of laziness in your life, you create an environment that fosters growth, motivation, and success. 7. The ungrateful. When gratitude is missing. There's nothing more disheartening than giving your time, energy, or love to someone who fails to appreciate it. Ungrateful people take your efforts for granted, leaving you feeling undervalued and emotionally drained. When gratitude is missing in a relationship, it creates a one-sided dynamic where your contributions are ignored or dismissed, and the bond begins to feel hollow. Here's an example. Sophie had always been thoughtful when it came to her sister-in-law, Lauren. For Lauren's birthday, Sophie spent hours planning and preparing a homemade cake that she knew Lauren would love. But when Sophie presented the cake, Lauren glanced at it, muttered a quick, "Oh, thanks," and moved on to open another gift. No acknowledgement of the effort, no gratitude, just indifference. Sophie felt hurt, as if all her care and time had been wasted. Ungrateful people often fail to see the value in what they receive because they're too focused on their own expectations. Worse, they can make you feel like your efforts weren't good enough, even when you've gone above and beyond. Over time, this lack of mutual recognition can erode your self-esteem and make you question whether it's even worth trying. How to protect yourself. Reflect on your relationships. Take a closer look at who appreciates your efforts and who doesn't. Invest your energy in people who value and recognize your contributions. Set boundaries. Stop going out of your way for those who consistently fail to show gratitude. It's okay to step back and prioritize your own well-being. Celebrate yourself. If someone else doesn't acknowledge your efforts, don't let it diminish your value. Take a moment to recognize and appreciate your own hard work. Gratitude is the foundation of healthy relationships. By surrounding yourself with people who appreciate you, you create a space for mutual respect and positivity. And remember, your kindness and effort deserve to be cherished, not overlooked. Gratitude is the foundation of every strong relationship. But what happens when someone isn't just ungrateful? They're envious of your success. Let's explore how envy can erode even the closest of connections.